Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are on this bastard world. I don't know where it was, but I read of, I think she was an Arab woman, and it was partly claiming about the fact that in her workplace, some of the white women um, would want to touch her hair because it was slightly frizzy or kink or whatever it is. And I think it went on a bit too much because some of them probably just, if she was sitting down, they'd walk past and they would sort of feel her hair and she'd get annoyed about it. And I think she took one of the women to HR because it got a little bit annoying for her. And the woman started bursting out crying or saying that you're picking on her. It was basically what they're saying is that the way in which white women use almost the fake tears as a weapon, um, especially against their fear of the black woman. Um, Everybody fucking is scared of the black woman. Um, but what was quite interesting about it was I think it was in Australia, and there was this little festival going on or something with probably hippie type thing nonsense with the SJW wankers and all those bastards that go to these kind of things, Sawyer boys, manginas, and feminazis. And there apparently there was a little stage, and on that stage there were so-called people of color talking nonsense, but being very insultive about white people, saying white people are shit, white people are bastards, and all this kind of business. And I think they went on for a bit. There was people sitting down or standing. They were listening to what was going on. And then suddenly one white girl piped up and said, look, we're trying to understand you. Clearly a feminist. We're trying to understand you. But and we want to read your books. But the way you seem to be blaming white people for everything, you know, it's not good. You have. We actually no. What she said was, if I remember, we are the majority, and you're the minority, and you're basically what she was saying. Your life, your existence, is in my hands. And when I read that paragraph, normally, I mean, I'm a conservative, black conservative. I really don't give a shit about. I've gone through my fair share of, being called a nignog and sambo and nigger and people, usually people would say that on the bus, in the 70s and stuff like that. Nigger, nignog, go home, all that kind of business. It happened to me a couple of times. Once it was in Sheffield, and I was standing at the bus stop waiting with other people, and a bus came, and out the top deck, skinheads were on there. And they just opened the window and say, "Oh, you fucking nignog!" And, when I didn't bat an eyelid, I just looked at him. What can you do? I was just grateful they didn't spit, because I thought they were going to spit. Then suddenly, out of the blue, a white woman just said, "What did they just say?" What? I mean, but the problem was the bus was going as they'd said that. And she said, "That's outrageous." Now, this was in 18? 17, 18? So it was in the early 80s. And she was in the queue, and she came over to me and said, "Are you okay?" That was outrageous. I said, "Don't worry about it." I was actually more embarrassed that more attention was being made. She was making more of an attention of it. But no, my heart, I take my hat off. Thank you very much, whoever she was. It's very kind to stand up to that kind of thing. But it's one-on-one. You know, you didn't go to the police with it. You dealt with that person. Someone called me that, you know, there was a white boy that I used to work with when I was in the YTS in Sheffield, and I don't know what it was. He was a mod, and he used to wear sort of drain pipe trousers. He was always an arsehole. He always thought he was a hard geezer. Anyway, I had to teach him a lesson. He said something to the effect of, there was a film with Steve Martin in, and he had a black man's head on his shoulder. It was two heads or something. I don't know why. And I remember we were sitting in because we used to go into this room and there would be a circle of chairs, and we'd all be sitting there waiting to. When we came in the morning, we'd have a cup of tea and read the paper, at least, you know, have half an hour before the 8:30 start. And he was sitting down and discussing with a couple of guys there. Oh, did you see that film of Steve Martin last night where he's suddenly he grows a black nigger's head on his shoulder? The room went silent because the white geezers there I had no problem with. We all seemed to we got on really pretty well. There was a black guy who was there, but he wasn't there that day for whatever reason. I think maybe if he'd been there, he may not have said what he said. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I was the only one in there. It went silent. Well, I didn't have any other choice. I got up. I said, "Come on, you fucking cunt!" At the back. Now, the arsehole, and I call him an arsehole, supervisor, he was also the electrician there, complete bastard. Both of us, me and the guy, walked out to the back, and he followed. So as we followed behind, I turned and grabbed the guy by his throat, picked him up, and shoved him against the wall. I mean, I was quite strong. I was about 18. I did use a little bit of weights. I literally just picked him up. Well, he was tiptoeing, but by the time I had him by the throat, picked him by the throat, and then slammed him against the wall. And I was squeezing on his throat. Just as I was doing that, the supervisor had come up, said, "Right, if the two of you want to fight, you better go and get your P45s and get off site and go and fight off site." I was still holding on to this guy's throat and I was squeezing it. And he was looking at me terrified. And I let go of him. I says, "Your fucking lucky day, you fucking white bastard boy. It's your fucking lucky day." And I walked away. I walked past the geezer, looked at him with fucking disgust, and then went indoors. And that was the last time I went with those group of people, because then I just left there and went upstairs. And I mixed with a Polish and an Italian, two guys that were working there. Turned out to be really two good guys. And when I told them what had happened, they said, "What are you surprised about?" They knew what the situation, and that, you know, he was a Polish and he was Italian and they'd been through the same similar thing. So what did you expect? You know, what did you expect? So I stayed with them for the rest of the time I was there. I had no connection with the other guys. They would see me. We would be working. It's not that I didn't talk to them, but at dinner time, breakfast, lunch time, and whatever it is, we had breaks. I sat away from them and I just sat with my mates. So the point is, I've always dealt with sort of, you know, if people become racial towards me and abuse one-on-one. I've never taken it to the police. Why would I take it to the police for? You deal with it. You headbutt the person, you break their neck, you deal with them, put them down on the ground. You deal with your situation one-on-one. Grow some balls. Life is never easy. Don't get other people to fight your fights for you. Do them yourself. Even if you're not strong, stand up. get in that person's face, show them that you are not afraid. Because that's what this planet has been, you know, you deal with your problems head on. That's the way you should deal with it. But today people literally go, you know, whining and squealing and slithering to the authorities, to the police, and lie. And, you know, you get guys. There's a guy I saw in Australia filming a slut walk event. This guy was attacked by these evil bastards because he was filming. But he wasn't the only one filming. But for some reason, they targeted him. I think because someone must have known who he was, and he was just consistently targeted. And when they had hit him and pushed him, and after a while, suddenly the police started saying, "You have to leave. You've got to go." And when he was like refusing and said, "Well, no, I'm in the public area. I'm photographing like everybody else. Why? Why?" And eventually, like the police do, I just grabbed him and threw him to the floor. He was down on the floor. 3 times. They didn't arrest him. They removed him from that area consistently. You see, because he's on the right, conservative. If you're not on the left, like CNN or left-leaning stations, who capitulate to them, to these evil left-wing bastards, you can't go there. You can't film them. They won't. They only approve of those that follow their narrative. We've allowed them. We've allowed people from the left to take over the way in which society is run. But it's going to be the downfall of this society. We need a balance, a proper balance. You know, we can't have, you know, socialism must not be allowed to reign in the West. Must not be allowed to reign. You know. So anyway, I went off on a jaunt there. I can't remember. So so this particular Arab woman was at this show, and this white girl had piped up and said, she obviously was offended, to say that it was obviously an arsehole who said black people can't be racist. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? We must stand up and say, and I've always said, because I know I can be racist. I've been racist about white people. I've been racist about Indian people. I've been racist about Chinese people. That's racism. When you abuse somebody else and you call them, like Chinese people, I've called chinks, packies, white bastard, twats. That's the only problem. Sometimes we don't have words for white people. Well, we do. We've got our own little secret words. But the point is, everybody can be racist regardless. So this nonsense that black people can't be racist to other people. Why is it always black people seem to feel they have this monopoly that they can never be racist? Fuck off. It's an embarrassment. It's very embarrassing when you get people that it's the same thing with the transsexual narrative. I'm a woman. You're a geezer with fucking 2 balls and a dick. That's what you're born with. And the feminist movement, which is quite interesting, have got themselves tangled in with this fight with the transsexuals, because feminists cannot have anyone encroaching on womanhood from the point of view of feminists. So when you get guys who call themselves women, they see that as a piss take. They see that as a piss take. Because feminists do definitely truly see themselves as superior to everybody else on this planet. They do. And when I say feminist, I'm talking about white female feminists. White female feminists are at the top of the tree. That's why they've been able to get a lot of this stuff pushed through with marriage, with anything else to do with that goes against society, which they see as being perpetuated or built up by the so-called patriarchy. The patriarchy equals white men. That's what, from the feminist movement's point of view, is. That's what the patriarchy is, which is fucking nonsense. Yes, the societies mostly in the world are patriarchal, and it's done fairly well. It's gone through some, everything in life goes through good and bad patches. Nothing is perfect. But this is the problem with feminists. They do believe that the world should be perfect, should be made in their image. That's why the feminists are in a consistent battle with men, especially white men, because that's their competitor, to bring down the white man. But before the white man is brought down, he must make sure that he puts it all in place, all the structural things that feminists needs to make them comfortable. Men have put women on a pedestal. That's the reason why we have our own selves to blame for that. Because men are so desperate for the pussy. That's the problem. They're desperate for the pussy. And women know that. Especially when they're young. They know that their vagina is more precious than diamonds, gold, or platinum. Period. Men are not interested in diamonds or platinum or gold. They know that girls are interested in that. That's why they give girls golds and diamond and all this, because they love all these shiny, blingy objects, and it makes them happy. It makes them feel special. I'm very happy that marriage is gradually going down the toilet. I'm glad, because it means that young men will be free from the yoke of marriage, and will find themselves, and will spend the time looking about themselves, not saying, "Oh, I need to get married and get kids and this." But we don't want soya boys either. Ideally, they should have kept, national service in this country, in Britain. Everyone should have gone into that. All the men should have gone into national service. It would have been tough. It was tough for those guys that went in. After the war, during the war. So again, I drifted away. I always do that. So this white girl, or white woman, had stated that their future, those people of color on the desks, on this stage, or really minorities in her country, their future were in her hands. So depending on how she decided to move forward in her life, and whether she took on board other people's so-called plight. If she didn't, and decided to, I don't know, move over to the far right, because she could say, "I don't want these people to exist in this country anymore," and she would be controlling that. While these minorities, I'm not saying they don't have. Unfortunately, especially in Australia, you get these African migrants that are going in there, just behaving outrageously. I'm afraid they're just behaving like pure shit, And it's embarrassing, you know, really is. You know, there's the African gangs that are there. We saw only a couple of weeks ago that stupid Muslim twat fighting with the police with a knife, literally going after them. He was trying to stab these policemen. What's going on? I think he was shot. I hope he was killed, dead. He needs to. That's what we need. We need the. You can't piss about with these guys. You've got to shoot them dead. Stop messing about. Stop messing about. Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting, and I had to sit up and thought, wow. So women, especially these white women, see themselves as very much in control or getting into control in society. That they are the powerhouse in society. And if you don't, or you cross them, your future, if you're especially a person of color, could be at jeopardy, because she will be the one who will decide how you are able to exist and live in Australia. And I think the same thing applies with white women in this country, in the UK, and in America as well. Extraordinary to think. And see, the thing is, men have got to realize, and white men especially got to realize, your enemy is the white woman. I'm not talking about black women. Forget black women; they're not really in the picture. You know, the white female is your enemy. She wants to get into every position that she can get into, and she will get there. Okay, I've just been reading up about the two guys who discovered DNA, and the woman, I can't remember her first name, was Franklin. It seemed to she's been attributed to being a contributor to the discovery of DNA. Yet there was a guy who was working on that and had started the work on DNA, and another guy with him, I think he's in an undergraduate, that had been working. And when she came into this, it became fractious between her and part of the team. I haven't fully read through it, but there was a schism, big one. Okay, she saw it when she came there that she was going to be the leader of the DNA, you know, the work on DNA, and it eventually turned out a little bit. I think she ended up leaving and going somewhere else to another college. But it's quite interesting that this is what happens when women come into the field of work. These guys would have progressed in the field of DNA, whether she contributed or not. It's the same with the space shuttle program. They've done a whole film of three black women as being the. It's almost as if they invented the bloody rocket that took the men into space. It's almost as if they invented the computers. They did some calculations that they were given, and it's like, holy fucking sweet Christmas. They were the ones that built the whole rocket to the moon. They designed the fucking ship. They designed the suits. Everything. Holy sweet Christmas. So I'd like to see in the future, and it will happen, more women bringing their contribution solely off their own back, working in a garage. See, many inventors of the United Kingdom and in America and in other parts of the world invented their stuff on the kitchen table, in their sheds, you name it. Look at Microsoft in a garage. Look at Google in a garage. Nobody's saying that women can't produce. Of course they can do. But they have different skill sets to guys. This is what we need to people need to understand. I've been thinking wouldn't it be great if someone could one day, and in the future, find a planet that guys can build their own, guys can go and live on that planet and truly have men are like from Mars and women are from Venus. Women can go and build their own, their own planet of women only, like Amazonia, and because it's getting really, MGTOW planet, because in the future there will be, what do you call it, the artificial vagina, but there will be artificial robots that will be near enough organic, because you'll have a mixture of organic and well, just hopefully just full organic, very similar to Blade Runner or even Battlestar Galactica. When that happens, that will be extraordinary. You will be able to have a female type robot that will fully understand you and will not get upset with how you operate as a man. That's truly a day that men are looking forward to. Because the quality of what we've got today in a lot of women out there, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to go to clubs and to be humiliated. When you guys, they're trying their best to look for something. And sometimes to be bold, when guys go up to girl and say hello, or hey, can I buy you a drink? They're trying their best to have confidence. And that girl will stand there, look this guy up and down, and it will have the audacity to fuck off you, or get lost. As if he's a piece of shit. That kind of thing starts off as a seed of anger within some guys. Some will brush it off and move on to the next one. It's very difficult on this planet to, build up relationship. Even those guys have got confidence. They go out, they go to the, Oxford Circus, they stand around, they look around, they see if they're a youngish guy trying to hook up with some girls if possible. Is that possible today? Is it? When you're in a man is a relationship, young man is a relationship, how much is the girl scheming to fleece the boyfriend? How much? The society is going to move to a stage where there won't be any real marriage. Maybe the homosexuals will be the ones still getting married. But people will just cohabit. You'll have a girl who's got 2 or 3 boyfriends. You'll have a guy who's got 2 or 3 girls. And they'll have a core boyfriend and core girlfriend. And that's how they'll live. Or you'll have guys who are MGTOW. They'll have their organic android. And they will be completely happy and satisfied with that. Some may not be. But you know what? If you're a guy like who's an incel, you're desperate for the pussy, yet you can't get it. People joke about that all the time. Oh, you can't get no pussy. It's no joke. It's no joke. But if you can get an android, this will cure a lot of problems for a lot of men out there, I'm sure. Because the question has to be asked. 80% of suicides are men that are killing themselves. A good proportion of those have got to be within the relationship that they are in with that particular person they're with. Marriage, girlfriends, issues, we just don't know. Why? Because nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's done any research. I like this. I did this thing. I like this here. That awkward moment when you are called a feminazi. And this particular one here with our friend, our Arcasian, or whatever the bloody hell name she is, goes by. All men are pigs. Women are equal to men. So if men are pigs, because women are equal to men, they're pigs as well. I like that. Oh God. How? Hold on a minute. This. How the feminazi lawyer oogles men online. Let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at that. Wasn't it? The Daily Mail has used the word feminazi repeatedly. So this is very. Oh, this is Telegraph. It's never okay to call anyone a Nazi, even us feminists. Oh God. The term feminazi, a poisonous. I can't even pronounce that bloody word. I'm sure some of these people just make up these stupid, dumb words. Like mansplaining. What the fuck is that? Stupid, dumb word. I can't pronounce that. Whatever it is. Feminism and Nazi has left. Oh, just look at that shitty. I couldn't stand this woman. She was rubbish. Absolutely rubbish at tennis. Chris Evert, most useless female tennis player in the history of tennis. Can't stand her. Oh my God. Is that a woman or a geezer? Jesus Christ. All right, let's carry on. Has left the dark web. And gone mainstream. How has this happened? Oh God. Feminazi was another. Well, you see, what they're doing there is that the dark web, as far as they're concerned, is where all the pedos and all the Nazis are all hiding. So now the word feminazi came off the dark web. Oh Jesus. Good old Hitler. There he is. The term feminazi is offensive and trivializes Hitler's mass murder. So here is a Jewish woman who's not happy at people using the word feminazis. Oh, this is this stupid silly bitch that said proof that the air conditioning system is sexist. I'm sure it's this one here. Yeah, it is. Just look at these stupid, fucking silly bits. Just look at them. Never read the comments. Holy sweet Christmas. Just, this is what we've got to work with, geezers. These fucking useless, old, shriveled cunts. Holy sweet. You are a feminazi whinger. Get a grip. Yep. So beautiful to see a great retarded feminist. Feminism is plagued by the likes of these feminazis, very much like ISIL, who ruin the name of Islam. Never a better word said. Wow. Let's go through this. What have we done to deserve such vitriol? When was this written? Let's see this. When was this? Oh, we can't see the date this was written. Oh, on Sunday. So this so this this is quite amusing. This feminist bitch. What have we done to deserve such vitriol? What crime have we committed to warrant comparison to the Nazi regime? What crime? The crime that you're committing at this moment in time in fucking up the West. That's your crime. You've been fucking up the West for the last 100 years. That is your crime. And longer. That's right. We dare to write about women's issues because women's issues are the only thing that is important. Nothing else is important. You must always cater to the women. You must always cater them because they're special, so important. And for this, we are regularly likened to members of the National Socialist Workers' Party. Now, isn't that interesting? National Socialist Workers' Party. Hitler was a socialist. He wasn't a conservative. He was a socialist. Which is quite annoying that, people who are conservatives, the left always say, oh, if you're a conservative, you're moving towards Nazism. But Hitler was a socialist. But it doesn't matter. It is what it is. These bastards on the left share the platform with the feminist twats. Until recently, feminazi was a word largely confined to the darker recesses of the internet. No, it wasn't. I've known about feminaziism since 2011. Yes, which is not years, but it is quite a bit of time. Well, this week my anger reached its peak. So you see, the thing is, these feminists I'm not hearing loads of feminists crying about the word feminazi, but it's interesting. She's found a topic to write about. And how dare people put the word feminist with Nazis. But, the trouble with feminists, they are Nazis. They are the follower of satanic rituals. They are witches, and they believe in that side of evil. Eve felt that she was more intelligent than Adam, and she listened to the devil. Maybe she was. Adam was blind to God, But he was even more enamored with Eve. And that's why he got himself with the stupid bint Eve thrown out of the Garden of Eden. Eve was clever. She got Adam to eat that apple in the hope that he would take the blame. You see, she was clever on that. But nah, you can't fool God. God knew who was to blame, and that's the reason why Eve was now made to give birth and to suffer the pain of birth, menstruation, period, you name it. She was to blame for the shit that we're in. If you believe those things. Well, this week, my anger reached its peak. Congratulations, Internet. The insidious term for feminism that shock jock Rush Limbaugh coined in the 1990s seemed to have flipped into common My spelling is crap. But I'm not going to pronounce that word. Just commonplace. Slowly but surely, it's casually becoming a catch-all term with which to silence any woman who calls out sexism. And it makes me feel sick. But, you know, the funny thing is, women used to call men, male shaving his pigs. All men are pigs. And we have our little old word, feminism, that has got under their skin. And they're pissed. Sorry, what am I talking about? Feminazi. Feminazi is getting under their skin. Well, it's funny when I heard that. I didn't know Rush Limbaugh was the one who coined that, but it's apt and fitting. Well done, Mr. Rush Limbaugh. But I'd never heard of the term until 2011. To be honest with you, not heard of the term. You know, feminists have been on the internet doing blogs about men hating their vitriol, as she says, on the internet since you know, quite a few years. And it's then when MGTOW started around 2010, was it? I mean, the men's rights movement, I think, started very small around 2000. But the feminists have been on the internet quite a long time, spewing their evilness on their and their hatred of men. And they're going on there, you know, bantering these these words amongst themselves, mansplaining, manspreading. The word misogyny. I hate that word. Just as they hate the word feminazi. I equally hate that word misogyny. I'm sick to the back teeth of hearing that word. Honest to God. But misandry, if I'm telling you now, you walk out in the streets there and you ask a young woman, what's misogyny? 8 times out of 10, she will tell you what it is. You go out there and ask a woman, and I bet you won't get one person who will know what misandry is. You won't get one. None of the guys will know what the word means, but they'll know what misogyny is. They'll know what misogyny is because it's been bandied around left, right, and center. All men are misogynists. So, stop for a second to think about what it actually means. Go on then. Do I really have to spit it out? Oh, please do. Every time you call someone a Nazi, you are equating The fight for gender equality. For women to have their fair share. What fair share? Fair share of what? Of what men built? Is that your fair share? When you get divorced, your fair share is to take the whole fucking house. And then you expect the man, oh, because I've got kids, so I need somewhere to stay. He's got to leave the house. And you get a court order to kick him out of his house. But when he's out of the house, if the mortgage hasn't been paid, fully paid for, you still expect the mortgage to be paid. Where is this guy supposed to sleep? He's got to find somewhere. If he's lucky, he's got his parents are still alive. He can go and stay there while he goes to work. You know, trying to think of how to sort his life out because he's been divorced. He can't see his kids because she's dictating the terms of when he can come around and see the kids. Well, you can come around and see the kids maybe once a month for an hour. So what the fuck are you talking about? Is this, the Majesty's Service or something? Bloody hell. Women love playing that game because they poison the children against the father. This deadbeat dad is bandied around. But what it is that many fathers have said, you know what? If I can't see my children, or if I can't have much, why should I stay around? Why should I hand over my money to that bitch so that she can live in comfort? Because that's where the majority of the money is going to the woman. So she can keep herself in good clothing and makeup and perfume at your expense. Let's continue. Nothing more and nothing less. Nothing more and nothing less. So women are saying that they want their rights. Then they don't have their rights. Yet in America, women are just beginning to be told they're going to have to go into the draft. Just being told that they're going to have to go on the front line. In Israel, it's compulsory for the men to go into the army, except the Orthodox Jews, I think it is. But women can choose. They've got a choice to a degree, but they do have a choice. And the funny statistics on that, I heard that 8% of men abscond, Jewish men abscond from going into I think it's the Israeli Defense Force, IDF. Yet, over 20% of females abscond. I suppose because, to be honest with you, if they don't have to, I mean, they're asked. If they don't really have to, they won't do it. 20% though. And even then, there are some women who are going into court probably trying to stop this from happening. Why? You want equality. You want equality. Israel, to me, Israel is looking like it's become seriously a matriarchal society. Seriously is. Some of the stuff that's coming out of there that I'm hearing about is really, truly scary. Really is. Really is scary. So for women to have their fair share, nothing more, nothing less. Nothing. It's more like nothing more. They don't want less. They want bloody more. With mass murder. End of. You see, the point is that they have they just don't see it. Kathy J was an ardent feminist for 10 years. She was just, full on feminist. And it was by accident when she sat and started, I've got to do this film. I need to expose the men's rights group. Because she was brainwashed by her feminist leaders that the men's rights activist group are Nazis, basically. And they hate women. And the word misogyny is used consistently with these people. After a year, it took a year. That's how long it took her to be decleansed of the majority of her sort of radical feminism, to the degree now she doesn't call herself a feminist anymore. She still believes in. I mean, what is this believe in women's rights? What is it that women really want? That they say they have all the rights and more. So what more rights do you want? I don't understand. I'd like someone to explain. Because, women's breast cancer gets double the funding of men's prostate cancer. Yet men's prostate cancer has now taken over from the amount of deaths from breast cancer. It's now the third biggest killer in the UK. Breast cancer is now in 4th place. Yet it gets double the funding, double. So look at the universities. Why is it that 60% of the university graduates are women? 40% are men. Why is it that primary schools are nearly 80 or coming up to 90%? No, I think 85% are women in primary schools. Secondary school, very much similar. Why? Nobody complains about it. Nursing, 85-90% are women. The graduate doctors that are coming out of university, 75% are women. What is going on? You see, the problem as well is that if, I don't know what's going to fucking happen, just say, literally all the top management jobs, everything, eventually just becomes blanket female. And the bottom end, which will be, construction, where men are building the roads at 3 o'clock in the morning, cleaning out the sewer system, 3 o'clock in the morning, the smell, the dirt, the disease, I mean, the power lines, the heavy power lines. Are women going to eventually go into that as well? What is it they actually want? Domination. That's what they want. Anyway, let's get back to this. Until recently, feminazi was a word largely confined to the darker corners of the internet. Until recently, what the fuck are you talking about? It's been used for quite a few years now. And thrown at these women perceived to be the most radical end of feminism. To be honest with you, feminism is radical, period. You don't have to call it feminazi. Just say the word feminist, feminism. And people, guys, I'm sure it sends a massively, discomforting shiver down one's back. It really does. You see, feminists would love to use that word only and get rid of the word woman. They don't want the word feminist. sorry, woman, because it has the word man or women. They would like to be called feminists or femin. I suppose, yeah, feminists. I'm a feminist. You're a woman, but but they instead of replace it with the word feminist, because then they can get rid of that word man in the word. But in recent weeks and months, it's found its way into the mainstream media. Writers are beginning to adopt it, absolutely, including many prominent female journalists who are using it to make their case against the sisterhood. Jesus, Telegraph, are you allowing this bitch to come on and talk nonsense? It's appeared in national newspaper opinion columns, this one included. It's been uttered on Newsnight, that's in the UK. Let's have a look at where it says here. Let's click on that. Oi, 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 oi. The campaign to end VAT on tampons is one of the silliest the sisterhood have ever mounted. Oh my god, that's brilliant. Have ever mounted. Oh, again, this was done on Sunday. Are you sure? Oh, no. Yes, on Sunday. You see, look, they've got a section on women. Where's the section for men? Oh, Jesus Christ. Uh, who wrote this? We can't. Oh yeah, Julia Hartley Brewer. She is a woman that does have much more common sense than the rest of her feminist uh, muppets. So the campaign to end VAT on tampons is one of the silliest the sisterhood has ever mounted. You knew what he was talking about. This pointless crusade. Is that emphasizes? No, it doesn't. That's not the word. This pointless crusade. The problems of modern feminism, which views everything that ever happens as a conspiracy against women. Thank you, woman of common sense. Campaigners claim the average woman spends £492 per year on sanitary products. Look, it was a man that invented the damn bloody thing to make your life easier in the early 19th century. God, what ungrateful old hags. I think there was also a guy who invented that instrument that they put into the vagina and it opens it up. And I think originally it was made from wood, and then it was steel, so it's more hygienic. And then 4 female designers now suddenly have come up with a newer one because the old one was horrible. It was always cold, and it was shocked with when the procedure had to be done with it. Now they've made one that was made out of silicon and can easily be cleaned. Holy sweet Christmas. Holy sweet Christmas. Tampons. I've not heard such about them since that special biology biology lesson from an embarrassed teacher at school when I was 12. I realised that you, like me, probably don't want to read about tampons on an average working day. No, we don't. But you can hardly escape the bloody things this week after a week of angry claims that the little cotton-based items are not, as most of us had previously thought, just a useful sanitary item, but are in fact an instrument of war against the female of our species. Holy Jesus. Are you serious? Let's continue. This is quite interesting. See, look at these stupid bitches. Just look at them. You know, they will say that it was men that designed the periods that women are going through. It's men's fault. It's men's fault. I don't know if these people are serious or not. It turns out that while most of the female half of the population have been buying tampons and sanitary pads in blissful ignorance all these years, we have actually been unwittingly subject to a sinister patriarchal system of sexual repression, using that well-known weapon of value-added tax. Get your tin hats on, ladies. This is... Oh, excuse me, who's this? Is that a Sawyer boy? Or is it a girl? Oh, it's a girl. Sorry. Pardon me. Here are the lunatics. Stop taxing. What? What's that crocodile there? Crocodile periods? Okay. End tampon tax. I would throw tampons, but they are too expensive. Right. End tampon tax. Okay. Stop taxing periods. Okay. It's amazing. Andy Warhol says that most people, I don't know what he said really, I can't remember. Something to do about a lot of people want to get their 15 minutes of fame. This is the situation. They're looking for their 15 minutes of fame. The sisterhood has been busy campaigning for an end to the tampon tax. What does tampon? I saw what tampon means, but I can't remember. Anyway, the 5% reduced rate VAT charged on sanitary items. This, they argue, is because tampons are essential items for half the population and not, as the European Union claims, luxury items. I have to be honest with you, actually. No, it's not a luxury item. It is an essential item. I totally agree. But it doesn't make any difference. You still got to buy the bloody things. I mean, no, I'm going to be honest. I'll step back. I think they're correct. It's not a nice. It's definitely not a luxury item. Absolutely not. It's not an. It's an essential item. Okay, it's an essential item. I mean, cigarettes are a luxury item because you don't really need them, but people have, been smoking, and they get taxed hugely. A packet of 10 cigarettes, I don't know what they are now, but I know they must be about £7 or £8, or is it 10 quid or something like that? Or coming up to £10. I have no idea. But they're not cheap. They're not cheap. A Treasury Minister has now promised to raise the issue with the European Commission after a vote in the Commons on Monday night, and more than 250,000 people signing a change.org petition calling for the tax to be scrapped on tampons, right? So they scrap it and just increase the price. So what? What are you going to achieve by it? Fucking nothing. Because they'll just increase the price later on at some point. They'll just increase the price. Nevertheless, this campaign is, I'm afraid, one of the silliest campaigns the sisterhood have ever mounted. It defies belief that anyone would think the issue of VAT on tampon rates in the top 3,000 for most women. Oh, ranks. It antithesis emphasizes. It emphasizes everything that is wrong. All right, it emphasizes everything wrong that is wrong about the modern feminazi movement. Brilliant. Thank you, lady. Which views everything from the standpoint of women as victims of ingrained patriarchal system, even when they are having their periods. Indeed, essentially, when they are having their periods. Oh, God. Um, if it defies belief that anyone in their right mind would think that the VAT on tampon is an issue that ranks in the top 3,000 of most women, or at least for those women who don't believe the claptrap being put out by this campaign. The feminist campaigners have claimed repeatedly that women spend on average £492 on sanitary products every year. Over a course of a lifetime, this equates to 18,450, of which £922 is VAT paid to the Treasury. When you look at it like that, VAT on tampons is an outrage. Except these claims are completely and utterly nonsense. The average woman, here we go. This is where it gets messy. The average woman menstruates for 4 days a month and uses 20 tampons. Okay. For each period. A little bit too much information there for me. But anyway, that is 240 tampons a year. Superdrug's own brand tampons are priced, quite typically for tampons in most stores, at £1.89 for 32 regular size. The average woman therefore needs 8 boxes to get her through an entire year. Given an annual period on tampons of around, given an annual spend on tampons of around £15, which is rather less than the claimed £492. That means her annual VAT bill for sanitary products would be a whopping, wait for it, 72p a year. That's the VAT bill. Yes, 72 whole pennies a year on VAT for being a woman, man or woman. The barricades, folks, it's man. Oh, I see, that's good. Man or woman, the barricades, folks. It's time for a revolution because this outrageous tax is clearly a major attack on women. So, where on earth did the £492 came from? If the average woman did manage to spend £492 a year on tampons, that would involve her using 8,330 tampons a year, which is 694 for each period, working out at 173 tampons a day, or more than 8 each hour. So these average women are hemorrhaging blood at a faster rate than a French revolution seconds after the guillotine came down on his neck, and are in dire need not of a tampon but an ambulance, or they are buying some seriously expensive gold-plated designer products. But why let silly old facts get in the way of a good, angry feminist campaign? Ladies? Jon Snow. Dim-witted idiot. What a shame you're just a fool. Support the effort to stop taxing a female's necessity. Why, John? Why? Why? Many other necessities of life. This is the guy. Yeah, exactly. Jon Snow, you dimwit, and Planned for UK, and Brucey Bay, Jon Snow at Plan UK, because it's a necessity of life that only women have to pay for. So tax on being a woman. That's fucking shit. I mean, There's a tax on everything. I've just bought a packet of Pepsi. There's tax on that. I just bought a new computer. There's tax on that. I've bought clothing. There's tax on that. There's tax virtually on everything. What again? I mean, toilet paper. What about toilet paper? That's just necessary. We need that. There's tax on that. Should we take the tax off that? Soap. There's tax on that. Oh, Jesus, this is just ridiculous. And this guy here, good. There are plenty of man taxes. And then this silly bitch decides to wade in. What male-only taxes are there? Trousers. Here we go. Well, that's told him. So that's this guy's trousers. Yes, the nonsense doesn't end there. The campaigners have also repeatedly claimed that tampons are subject to VAT, while men's razors are not. Really? Well, that's told him. Trousers. Yet the nonsense doesn't end there. The campaigners have also repeatedly claimed that tampons are subject to VAT, while men's razors are not, which is also just plain factually wrong. Razors actually face 20% VAT, not the reduced 5% on tampons. So, hold on a minute. So what we're saying is this. Razors, you have to pay the full 20%. But on tampons, it's only 5%. But they're not satisfied with that. What they're saying is we've got to get rid of VAT on women's products at all. So, look, I agree that there is I mean, I can go without a razor for months. But I'll tell you one thing. The itch, I mean, I no longer want to grow a beard because unfortunately for me, it just isn't conducive. I used to have a little bit of a beard when I was younger, and I just had consistent itching, and it was really, really unpleasant. And even now, when I use my razors, it stops the itching for a couple of days, and then I can go back to using razor. So if I didn't have a razor, I'd have to contend with the itching until I grow some form of beard, and I haven't got, I can't grow a proper beard. But some people can grow a full beard and they don't have all that itching nonsense. So, but listen, I totally agree. Tampons for women are absolutely essential. But so is toilet paper. So is soap. So is food. But everything is taxed. Again, women want to be treated equally, but then they say, well, we've got to have these special things for us. You've got to, now they have it 5% VAT. It's not 20%. Anyway, plenty of other necessities, including soap, toothpaste, face the full VAT rate of 20%. So there's also no particular strong argument for sandwich products to be exempted when most women would probably regard soap as more essential than tampons. No. I mean, the tampon is essential because it stops, the bleeding. So, yeah, I mean, it's essential. Yes, only women buy tampons, but then men and women routinely spend different amounts of money on different things. So are the feminazis going to ask the VAT exemption for makeup, which is, again, not necessary, bras, again, not really necessary, high heels, again, remember people, makeup, bras, and high heels were primarily invented by women. I'm not sure about makeup, but maybe makeup was a thing. So they used to use that in the jungle. you know, Amazon jungle, African jungle, war paint. But certainly brass was invented by an American woman. High heels invented by women. The whole tax system is a mess, and there are plenty of reasons to make changes. But this is not a conspiracy against women. If the campaigners really do have a problem with VAT being set at different rates for different items, why the concern about tampons rather than, say, the VAT charge on child safe care seats, while there is no VAT on bicycle or motorcycle helmets? More women are lone parents, so we'll have to buy child safety seats, while more men ride bikes or motorcycles. So surely this must be an outrageously sexist difference too. And what about the VAT on elderly mobility aids, but not on playing bingo? Why no VAT on caravans? Well, there is VAT on the cars that pull them. The whole tax system is a mess, and there are plenty of reasons to make changes to it and to exempt certain items from VAT. But this is not a conspiracy against women, no matter how much the campaigners like to pretend it is. If the biggest problem women in Britain face is a tax of 75p a year, then maybe life isn't quite as bad as our angry sisters seem to think it is. Any woman can be a victim of controlling behaviour, even if she looks strong. I'm looking seriously, I wish someone would produce these Android dolls. Men, women's ones, I don't care. Just please, can someone produce it so that women can go their own way if that's what they want to do, and, you know, go and live on Venus, and men can go their own way and go and live on Mars. So getting back to this nonsense here, our feminazi, it's been uttered on Newsnight. Here we go. Let's click on this. I don't usually, but I liked it. It's a 7-minute news. Charlotte Proudman. Here we go. It won't play because my stupid computer's.
Right, What is the appropriate response to a flirtatious comment on a professional network like LinkedIn? That was the debate triggered last week when a young female barrister, Charlotte Proudman, outed an older male solicitor, Alexander Carter Silk, for leaving what she considered an inappropriate message, admiring her LinkedIn photo. To some, she was a brave whistleblower who dared to call out sexist behaviour of a senior colleague. To others, she was a feminazi who had overreacted to an innocent compliment. Which is closer to the truth? Well, earlier this evening, I spoke to Charlotte
Feminazi.
and began by asking what she thought the right punishment for Mr. Carter Silk to face would be.
What I would like is a public apology, an acknowledgement that the message was sexist and inappropriate to send.
This is what a fucking bitch. Just look at her. Holy sweet Christmas. What a bastard. What a bastard. She wants this guy to, I mean, why don't you hang him? This was, I think this was a year or 2 years ago, this thing. But why don't you just hang the guy? Holy God, she wants a public apology for a guy who just made a compliment about her photo. Extraordinary. This is feminazi at work. Let's continue.
On a professional networking site.
And if he gave you that apology, which I think you think is different to the apology he did give you, because he did send you an apology, if he gave you that apology, you would consider the matter closed, so to speak.
I would certainly consider the matter, yes.
No, you wouldn't, you fucking bitch.
We're obviously in the midst of quite a lot of cultural change and recalibrating, if you like.
She's mentally disturbed. She's off her rocker.
Workplace. Do you think any allowance needs to be made for the generational differences between him and between you, for example?
No, I don't
Bigger.
think that generational
Bigger.
differences need to be taken account of.
Really?
If anything, I think that
Mentally
those
disturbed.
from an older generation should be more respectful of people coming into the workplace,
Right.
particularly those who are younger
Really?
and who are looking for leaders.
Really?
People who can show them the way
Okay.
and set a good example.
Yeah.
And that includes ensuring gender equality
Yeah.
between men and women.
Okay.
And ensuring that both are respected
Yeah, you bet.
equally for the
Carry on
professional
talking shit.
skills that they possess,
Go on, carry on.
rather than focusing on their physical appearance.
Okay.
Did you go ahead and report him to the professional body? Because some would say that was disproportionate for what he'd done.
At this stage, I have made a complaint to the law firm.
Wow.
And I am waiting for a response.
Wow.
But what do you want them to do, realistically? They're not going to sack him for that, are they?
As I've said to you, I am seeking a public apology.
Right.
I have never said that I'm seeking for this man to be sacked.
Really?
I mean, it's interesting, Rachel Johnson, and I'm quoting a female writer here, she wrote, and she wasn't on your side in this argument, she wrote that the picture itself was pouty, and I wonder, I think she was implying that perhaps the picture sent mixed messages. Now, what do you think about that reaction to the argument?
Wait for it.
No woman should apologise for the face of which they were born with, nor should they apologise for the clothing that they're wearing.
Okay, carry on.
If they decide to wear makeup, or if they decide to wear earrings.
Wow.
I am on a professional networking site, as are many other women, and I'm seeking to be taken seriously. The skills that I possess as a barrister.
Good luck with that.
I am not there to be objectified or demeaned or trivialised in any way.
Right.
Is it ever appropriate for a man to compliment a woman in a professional environment, to say, lovely shoes, I like your hair, you're looking great today? I mean, is that something
her answer will be no.
Simply now men should never think they should be able to do? I'm sure you think women should be able to say nice things to women, and men maybe nice things to men, and maybe women to men, but should men never ever do that to women?
Look, in the workplace, on the whole, it is women who receive the majority of so-called compliments, banter, and sexist jokes.
Right, okay.
And I do not wish to trivialise these types of comments.
So the workplace, which was designed and built by men, most of it, and these stupid, dullite, silly fucking feminazis are demanding that they come into the workplace wholesale because they believe that they are entitled to that job. Wow. Someone said, I think it was Palia, a woman, I think she calls herself a female feminist, but she's one of the very few common sense women who have no problem using the word feminist, if that's what she classes. She said that the fall of the Roman Empire was due to women being allowed into the Senate. I don't think women was allowed before, but they were allowed into the Senate during the Roman period. And that helped the downfall of the Roman Empire. Don't know if that's true. Probably I'm talking a load of shit. But this girl is a lunatic. She's mentally ill. Holy sweet Christmas. This is quite interesting. Let's carry on.
Because what they seek to do is objectify women and see women through their body appearance as opposed to the skills and experience of which they possess.
But there are women, aren't there, Charlotte, who do take a different view, who actually like receiving compliments, and that obviously makes it more complicated, no, than you're implying?
When it comes to the private space, if one wishes to give compliments or even receive compliments, then that is a matter between friends or family. But in this particular case, which I have been caught up in a controversy about, this involves a compliment that was given to me by somebody that I don't know in a professional space on LinkedIn, by somebody who also is in a senior position of power.
But LinkedIn is not a professional space. It's just a social media place. It's just where people, that work in business, use. It's just a space that people who are professionals rather than the hoi polloi go to rather than going to Facebook. It's not a professional space. Well, no, I don't see it as a professional place. I mean, I go on there occasionally. So it can't be that professional. Let's continue.
We know about the power dynamics between barristers and solicitors. Okay. I'm a barrister and I rely on work from solicitors in order to progress my professional career.
Okay. Well, it looks like you're fuckling, doesn't it?
Do you feel glad that this case has drawn such attention to the issue of sexism at work, and in particular, incidentally, to the use of these professional networking sites for purposes for which they really weren't intended at all?
I'm certainly pleased that this issue has been brought to the attention of people across the world, and that there is now a debate about workplace sexism, so-called casual sexism, and how people should call out sexism within the workplace. And indeed, what I'm really encouraged by, and it has been incredibly...
Sorry for pausing there, but what I would like to see is the separation of men and women. Then you won't have this problem. You know, separate the sexes in the workplace. So on the ground floor you could have women, on the first floor you could have guys, on the second floor you could have women, on the third floor you could have guys. What's the problem? And then none of the two should really meet. Maybe at the canteen, and that's it. That would solve a lot of problems. Separate the sexes.
Heartfelt is the messages that I've received from men who have supported me in calling out this sexism.
They're manginas.
He contacted me and he said thank you on behalf of my daughters. Another man said to me, forgive me.
Yeah, carry on. You're lying bastard.
Another man said to me
that
he would be proud if his daughters turned out like me and that I was a role model
to
his daughters.
Really?
You've had to face the most immense barrage of abuse and more, haven't you?
Good.
On social media
and
elsewhere.
Brilliant.
To be quite frank, I'm astounded that one tweet could cause this amount of vitriol and character assassination by the right-wing media. To be called a feminazi,
exactly,
a man-hater,
exactly.
I've never uttered one word of hatred towards men.
You don't have to. Your behaviour's done that.
Think about the verbal abuse, the misogynistic abuse, and the death threats that I've received from so-called trolls, not only to my Twitter account, but to my email account.
Charlotte Proudman, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Dumbass.
Thank you.
You dumbass.
Well, Mr. Carter Silk, who sent the initial message, says that his comments were misconstrued and he claims he was commenting on the professional quality of the photograph. His firm also apologised for the offence caused.
Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That was a few years ago. I can't remember when that was. 2006, I think it was, 16. And on September the 15th, presenter Evan Davis interviewed the silly bitch, the lawyer who publicly shamed a barrister after he sent her a LinkedIn message saying she was stunning. Okay, that might have been a little bit inappropriate. All she had to do was block him. If she didn't want to get any messages, just block him. To some, she was a brave whistleblower who dared to call out sexism. Said Davis. To others, she was a feminazi who overreacted to an innocent compliment. At Newsnight, how on earth is it acceptable for a presenter to use the word feminazi on the BBC? Complete shame. It was 2015 this happened, wasn't it? Jesus Christ. Time has flown. At this rate, the Oxford English Dictionary will be forced to include it in their next trench of modern words for 2016. I'm sure they have. I hope they have. At least it's still banned in Scrabble. Is it? So if you're playing Scrabble, and oh, maybe that's the competition, Scrabble. So if you're playing Scrabble at home and you put down feminazi, how's that going to be bad? Oh, lunacy in today's society is just unbelievable. But maybe even that's only a matter of time. There's already a definition on urbandictionary.com. It should give you a feeling for the intelligence of those who regularly use the term. A feminazi is not a feminist. Really? It is. Feminists here. Listen to this. Feminists believe in equal rights for all. No, they don't. Feminists believe in women's rights. That's not the same as equal rights. That's rights for women, which they've been getting more and more as time goes on. Feminazis just make us look stupid. Feminazis believe that all men are idiots. Wearing a bra is a symbol of oppression. Personally, I find bras comfortable. The bra was invented by an American woman in 1930s, I believe, 1920s, somewhere in that period, and she didn't like wearing the corset. She found it very uncomfortable, so she got rid of the bone that was in the corset and just used the bra bit, and that was it. The bra was invented. Nothing to do with men. Men didn't invent the bra. Shaving our legs is apparently showing that we gave in to male pressure to be attractive. Holy shit. Snowmen must be called snow people. Why? Why do snowmen have to be called snow people? Okay. And that any song that mentions a girl is supporting rape or whatever. Righto. The Daily Mail, meanwhile, has gone into overdrive, slapping the word in headlines and on the paper's front cover. Since September the 10th, it's appeared at least 11 times, most prominently to attack Proudman as a feminazi barrister. This from a newspaper that once printed the headline, "Hurrah for the black shirts." Yep, it did in the 1920s, 30s. That was a long time ago. How the feminazi lawyers ogles men online. Have repeatedly used the feminazi. Okay, even if you thought Proudman's actions were too strong, they were just way ridiculous. They were the mentally deranged. She's mentally deranged. It's probably a bit of a stretch to compare them to those of Hitler. Nope. Perfectly apt. She went out of her way to shame this guy, and she wanted an apology, a public apology as well. Unbelievable. The reaction to the aforementioned LinkedIn gate prompted a debate over whether feminists should reclaim the term feminazi for themselves. Go ahead, use it, please. Call yourselves feminazis, just like the Christians did when they were called Christians by the Romans. They took the piss of, you're Christian. So the feminists want to do the same. The feminists want to now use feminazis for themselves, just like the ghetto niggers use that word. They've taken it for themselves. We're niggers in the ghetto, whereas true black people don't use that word. But the niggers in the black ghettos of America use it every day. They're trying to take it back, supposedly. After all, we seasoned feminists are used to being on the receiving end of hate. But while I agree with those who argue that the ridiculous, over-the-top implications of the word immediately discredit those using it and their arguments, that doesn't excuse the casual bootstrapping of Nazism and feminism together, or in fact the clubbing together of any other word and Nazi. This isn't just an argument about feminism. Think grammar Nazism, nippleism, nipple Nazi, and eco-Nazi. This is not an argument about free speech. When you choose to call someone a Nazi, there can be no room for your doubt. Look, I get that Nazi is a neat little suffix, and I realize the English language is in complex flux. But the crux of the matter is that Nazi has just one unequivocal meaning. It is not a catch-all for extreme behavior. Imagine if we all went around freely adding the letters KKK to the end of words. It isn't debatable. It isn't acceptable. So what the fuck are you going to do about it, you bitch? How can we put the word KKK on the end as well? KK. Feminist KK. Feminist KKK. It's the same thing. Merriam-Webster defines it as a member of a German political party that controlled Germany from 1933 to 1945 under Adolf Hitler. An evil person who wants to use power to control and harm those, especially because of their race, religion, etc. This is not an argument about free speech. Sorry, but it isn't. When you choose to call someone a Nazi, there can be no room for doubt or misinterpretation. You are saying that person is the same as the monsters who killed 11 million people. I thought it was 6 million Jews. Oh, gypsies and yeah, okay, probably. Hitler was a Nazi. Goebbels was a Nazi. Women who speak up for gender equality are not. And every time they're called feminazi, it diminishes the original true term meaning. It's this sort of word we need to handle extra carefully. The next generation will be the first never to meet a Holocaust survivor. For them, Nazism will be something buried in the history books. To ensure it's not trivialized, we need to stamp out poisonous. I can't portmanteaus. I can't pronounce it anyway. Such as feminazi right now. No, you're a feminazi, bitch. Meanwhile, the word acts as a calling card to bring together haters online. When someone labels you a feminazi on Twitter, it's like anti-feminist flair to all other trolls who are just waiting to dogpile in. Such intimidation is designed to silence women, to frighten them. Is that really something the mainstream press and journalists, those in the business of words, really want to associate themselves with? Oh, this is just comedy gold. Of course, while I argue feminazi is an extreme word that's entered the mainstream, there are those who will claim that it's extreme feminism that's actually becoming the norm. You're absolutely correct. That's why we call it feminazi. But while a few feminists spend their days attempting to impose their ideology on others, isn't that what the Nazis try to do? There are millions who don't. None of us, when I last checked, were busy herding people into cash. Feminism, feminazi, is a word that should never have escaped. She's an absolute fucking nutcase. In that case, see, what she wants to do is police the way we talk. Isn't that feminazism? This is why we call them, these silly bitches, feminists. She wants to go on a campaign to stop people using the word feminazi. Oh, God. It manages to be sexist and anti-Semitic in one word. Really? I think I've heard Ben Shapiro use the word feminazi. I'm sure he has. I'm going to try and do a search on that. Ben Shapiro feminazi. What it really tells me is that the user understands either feminism, understands neither feminism nor Nazism. And if you don't agree with my take, you'll probably just call me a feminazi. Exactly. Oh my God. Let me just do a search on Ben Shapiro. Let me just put in Ben Shapiro, because this is quite interesting. Ben Shapiro, family. I don't know if he's feminismo. He probably hasn't used it, but yeah, I can't see it. I thought he might have used it before. He may have used it, but he hasn't. But there's been a few people who've used the word. Candice Owen on her journey. Well, what she got? She's got Candice Owen. Right. So, yeah, this is a feminazi, this silly bitch here. You know, absolute nutcase. Absolute nutcase she is. Stuck up middle class white bitch. Anyway, so I can't find it. But look, listen, oh God, I never liked this woman. Let me click her out. So yeah, I went from, I can't remember what I was talking about before, and ended up talking about feminazis. Oh, dear me, dear me. The world is a funny place. But anyway, we'll end on this. Let's see this joke again that I like. All men are pigs. All men are pigs. Women are equal to men. There you go. Anyway, thanks for listening and good night.